So I recently came across this post and it read, "Never heal, but I keep going." And what was very interesting to me about this particular post is what it was communicating. It was simply saying that I never have to be over this thing. I never have to forgive this person. I never have to address this matter or confront this traumatic experience. I can just move on with my life. I can go forward in my ways. And the dangers of someone not wanting to be healed, period, fully healed, is the fact that as you go where you go, as you go forward, then everyone that you encounter, everyone that you meet, everyone that you run into, you're going to affect them with whatever it is that you're going through, whatever it is that you're holding on to, whatever hurt, whatever trauma, you're going to affect every single person that you encounter. It's kind of like having a bleeding heart. And as you interact with people, you are affecting them. You are splashing blood from the wounds of your heart. And so there's a danger in convincing yourself that you are okay the way that you are, that you're fine, that you can fake it till you make it. I can have gone through this experience, and although I could address it, it may be painful, although I could address it, I want to continue to go forward. I want to put it behind me. I want to forget about it. But the reality is, the longer you pretend like that experience never affected you, never hurt you, never caused this level of damage to your heart, to your mind, to your soul, the longer that you continue to pretend as though it's behind you, the more that you're going to deal with it and not know. Because as people, we get so good at faking it. We get so good at pretending. And that's exactly what this post was communicating. Hey, I went through some things. I've been through some things. I'm still going through some things, but I'm going to go forward. And as you go forward, you're going to realize that you're going to still be dealing with these things, and they're going to come out, and they may not all look the same. You're going to dress it up differently. You're going to have trust issues. You're not going to be able to trust people. You're not going to be able to want to talk with that person. You're not going to be able to want to open up with that person. It's going to look differently. Why? Because there's still things on the inside that you're not fully healed from. And you have to want to be free from your own bondage. We can be our biggest critics, and we could be our biggest person to tell ourselves that we are okay the way that we are, and that we don't need to address what happened 20 years ago, that we don't need to go back through memory lane and comb through or revisit what happened in our childhood or in our early adulthood. We could be our number one person to convince ourselves that we are okay the way that we are, and we try to maneuver our way through life trying to find other things and other ways to cover up the hurt. And that's dangerous. That's dangerous because you don't have to remain in bondage. It's dangerous because the enemy likes the fact that you deceive yourself. The enemy likes the fact that you keep telling yourself that you are okay the way that you are. The enemy likes the fact that you try to put things behind you and you try to go forward, although you're gushing out blood. Your heart is bleeding as you go forward, as you head in the direction that you are going to, because the post said, but I'm going to go forward. I'm going to keep going. Yeah. Whatever direction you are headed in, do know that it's noticeable that you're hurting. You're bleeding out. And those that you encounter, the new relationships, the new friends, the new life that you walk into, that's going to show up what's really on the inside. That's going to show up. And so you have to be a person who wants to be real. You have to be a person who wants real freedom. Like I said, we live in a world where we're taught to be fake. We're taught to cover up things. We're taught to keep bones in the closet. We're taught to fake it till we make it. We're taught to just, hey, let it just go over your shoulder. Live your life. Start new. Start afresh. Yeah, you may start a new life. You may get into a new relationship. You may move to a new state. But that hurt that's on the inside of your heart, that's going to still be there. It's like, I could pretend as though I'm not hurting. I could pretend as though I've moved forward, but those wounds are still there. And people may not be able to know that at night you cry. You cry yourself to sleep because you're still having flashbacks of what such and such did to you, or how you were accused of something that you never did. You still have flashbacks. You still have dreams. The enemy comes and he put those images in your mind, and he reminds you, hey, you're still this person. Yeah, you were molested, or you were raped, or you were touched inappropriately. You're this person. He will try and he will remind you that you're still that person. Yeah, you're this individual. You're a criminal. Yeah, you did these types of things in your past. And if you don't properly address them in the presence of God, then you're never going to be free. You're never going to be fully healed. And this is why I say it really does take for a person who wants to be real to receive real freedom. If I want real freedom, then I have to become a real person. And the only way I can become a real person is by the power of Jesus Christ. I have to first acknowledge that, no, I have some wounds. I have some war wounds, some hurt wounds, some fighting wounds, some childhood wounds. I have to acknowledge that those things are there and that they don't feel good, and that I want to get rid of them. Sometimes going through memory lane is not always easy, depending on what you've been through. I don't know what you've been through in your earlier adulthood or your childhood, but I don't know, maybe you were put up for adoption. Maybe your mom was a drug addict. Maybe your dad was abusive. Maybe people in your family touched you inappropriately. Maybe you were bullied. Maybe you were the black sheep of the family, and it always seemed like you were the victim. It always seemed like you were the one in the way. It always seemed like you were the mistake. Nobody wanted you around. Your mom, she makes little comments about, how you put her through a lot, and how, she wished she would have aborted you, or God would have taken you. Things like that. That can be really hard to address. That can be really hard to even think on. Like, no, sometimes it's too painful to think back on my childhood and what I've been through, and, this relationship in my early adulthood. I was in this relationship, or I lost that person. I lost that cousin, that girlfriend, or that boyfriend, or, that close friend. I lost that person, and that stung me. That burnt me. That hurt me. That left a wound on my heart. And at this point in my life, I really just want to go forward. I really just want to put the past behind me. I don't want to think about how such and such died. I don't want to think about how that ended, how that went down. I want to just move forward with my life. And as we do that, as we try to maneuver our way through life, we always get to a place where we run back into those problems. Eventually you're going to get to a place where you run back into those problems. It happens. It may not look the same, but eventually you're going to run back into it. And sooner or later, you're going to have to confront it. You can continue living your life and take it to your grave as though nothing has ever happened, and you can die in your bondage, or you can get to a place where you can acknowledge you need God. The only person that can heal you of those wounds is Jesus Christ. And so you can get to that place where you begin to get real with yourself, and you say, you know what? I need healing. I need real healing. I'm not talking about putting a Band-Aid over the wound. I'm talking about open heart surgery, where the Lord can actually deal with that thing and you be healed. And when you are healed, when the situation comes back around and those emotions and those feelings are no longer there. You no longer feel the way that you felt towards that person. Matter of fact, you forgive that person. Matter of fact, you love that person. Although people cannot seem to understand, how can you love someone who took something from you? How can you love someone that violated you? How can you love someone? How can you forgive someone that put their hands on you? Yeah, but see, that's what happens when you are real before the Lord, and he can actually do some real things on the inside. Now you look at this situation different. Now you're at a place where, oh no, I've forgiven that person. And so when the situation resurfaces, it's nothing to talk about. No, because I'm healed from that. I'm healed from that. And so there's no longer any anger. There's no longer, any frustration. There's no longer any bitterness. I no longer hold a grudge towards this person because I love this person. I've forgiven this person. Matter of fact, I've forgiven myself. Yeah. This is what happens when you allow the Son of the living God to sanctify your insides and to purify your insides and to actually heal you from the inside out. It's not surface level, but it's deep. It's waist deep. You know what I'm saying? It's not feet deep or ankle deep. No, it's waist deep. He begins to submerge you in his love. And as he does that, he begins to heal those parts of your heart. Not just removing the bandage, but actually healing you. doing open heart surgery to where he's removing the trauma of your heart. He's removing the memory of your heart. You can't even fathom what it's like. There are things that I know I went through, but because the Lord has done such a deep work, I cannot remember every single thing that has happened to me in my childhood. And this is a real story. God can do that. God can actually erase. I saw my pastor with a pencil yesterday, and he was talking about an eraser, and it was such a beautiful image to know that God can erase things. God can erase the trauma in your heart to where you don't even remember what happened to you when you were younger or in your early adulthood. You don't even remember the fact that your mom did this and your dad did that, your uncle did this, your siblings did that. You don't even remember the fact that you were the black sheep. You don't even remember the fact that you were left in that house fire. You don't even remember the fact that you were given up for prostitution. You don't even remember the fact that you were caught in that crossfire, that gunfire. You don't even remember the fact when you were in the military and how they abused you and mistreated you. No, because God erased it. God erased the trauma, the traumatic experience of your heart. And so it's no longer there. That's when you know you've walked into true freedom. And you should desire that. Why? Because it does not feel good carrying around baggage. It doesn't feel good carrying around a load. This is why Jesus says to take my yoke, take my burdens, for they are easy and they are light. Jesus understands how painful it is to carry around a load. It's heavy, isn't it? Yes, that's heavy. That's painful. That's burdensome. That's weighing you down. Okay, well, this is why I give you the invitation to give an exchange. And you may say, man, the exchange is not even fair because the load that Jesus takes is far greater than what you're carrying around. You can't see it. You feel like what you have, what you're carrying, what you've been through is so heavy that nobody can ever understand your pain. And I know because I've been there. I've been there where I've said things like nobody understands. Nobody knows what it's like going through what I've been through. Nobody knows what it's like walking in these shoes. But if anybody knows, Jesus knows. He knows. This is why he tries to make the exchange. And like I said, it's not even a fair exchange, but he's so merciful. He's so good. He's going to give you his yoke and his burdens that he says is easy and light. And he's going to take your heavy load. He's going to take your sinful load. Give me this and I'll give you something easy and I'll give you something light. But most people don't want that because they want to continue pretending as though everything is good. They want to continue living their life. They want to go forward without the proper healing or healing at all. How can you go forward without the necessary gear? It makes me think about someone that's trying to run a race, but you have on long jogger pants. You have on a long sleeve shirt and a jacket. No, you're going to slow yourself down. You can't effectively run properly. You're trying to run this race with all this gear on. You're not going to get far. Eventually, you're going to fall into your own mess. You're going to tumble over. Yeah, you have on all this gear. Let Jesus give you his burden and his yoke, for it's easy and light. Here, put on these gear. Put on these, breathable gear where you can actually run. The wind can actually catch wind with you, if that makes sense. It's easy for you to run in the wind versus you having on a jacket and boots and these jogger pants. You're not going to get far. And so that's how it is when we try to maneuver through life carrying the weights of our past, carrying a bondage. That person that made that post, I can tell that this individual, they're going through things, but maybe somewhere along the way they were taught, man, it's okay to live your life and put those things behind you. Yeah, but what happens when eventually I have to come face to face with this? What happens when those thoughts resurface? What happens when I'm confronted with it again? What do I do then? Either I'm going to have to make a decision to confront it, or I can continue living out throughout my life pretending and carrying this load, this bondage. And so a real person that wants real freedom, they're going to make the necessary moves. They're going to want to know, well, what do I need to do to be free? What do I need to do to get this load off of me? Okay, well, you have to come to Jesus is the first thing, because I can't take the load off for you. The president cannot take the load off for you. Counseling, therapy, drugs, money, sex, the things of this world, of this life cannot take the load off for you. Now, it may help you cope with it, meaning it may cause you to go off into a state of highness or of a moment of temporary pleasure, but it cannot take the load off for you. It doesn't matter what they're offering you on Facebook and on TV. Hey, call this number and you can get counsel. Call this number and you can receive peace. Call this number and you can receive healing. No, all of that stuff is fake, just like the world. And so the only person that can remove that load, remove that burden, remove that heaviness is Jesus Christ. And so that's the one you need to turn to. That's the one you need to be running into. You don't need to be running into those things of the world that can't help you, offer you no real help, offer you no real healing. The fact that you're hurting, but you keep going, that's not going to get you anywhere. And the only person that you're hurting is yourself. The only person that you're fooling is yourself. The enemy, he sees that you are an individual. Oh, you're good at faking it. You're good at pretending. You're like the rest of the world where everybody's fake. And we pretend like we're okay. We pretend like we're good. We pretend like we're healed from what happened years ago, what happened last year, what happened last month. We pretend. Yeah, and this is how he keeps you in bondage. Because he already knows how you feel. He already knows that you already feel like nobody loves you. He already knows that you feel like you got to look out for you, that you got to do you. He already knows. And so he's going to set things in your trap, or not in your trap, but in your way to trap you. He's going to set things in your path to trap you. Here, take this drug. This drug, it allieves the pain. It helps you escape into another place. Here, hook up with this person and fornicate with this person. Go to the strip club. Go ahead and strip. Get this money. Go here, go there. Open up a business. He's going to make you think that your healing is in the things of this world. And let me tell you something. These things are not going to be able to give you what you need. The only person that can give you what you need is Jesus Christ himself. The word of God calls him the Prince of Peace. You want real peace? Real peace is not sitting in a dark room with the lights off and no sound. That's not real peace. That's quiet. That's just quietness. Real peace is when you can be in the midst of a storm and be sleeping on a boat like Jesus. That's real peace, where you can be in the midst of the storm, but you have peace. Meaning you're unmovable. The waves knocking against the boat, the rain that's falling, the wind that's howling, that doesn't move you. You have stability. That's real peace. You have security. That's real peace. You're unshakable. You're unmovable. Nothing moves you. You're grounded. That thing cannot uproot you. That situation, that traumatic experience, the waves knocking against the boat, that doesn't move you. Why? Because you have peace through the Prince of Peace. He says, my peace I leave with you, not like the world gives. He's not talking about the peace that the world tries to offer you. He's talking about a peace that you can only get from him. And the only way you're going to be able to access that is by giving God your whole heart. You want real peace? You want real freedom? You want real healing? Well, you have to access God, but you have to do it with a sincere heart, with a real heart. He says, open up your heart to me. He said, a broken heart he will not despise. A contrite heart he's not going to despise. He's not going to discard. He's not going to say, well, it's too much for me to handle. No. Is there anything too hard for our God? Do you believe that? Because we can say it all day. No, I don't believe that there's anything too hard for God. Okay, if you really believe that, then what does hinder you from being saved? Why is it taking you so long to give your heart over to God? You say, well, I'm dealing with some trust issues. Yeah, but you're giving your heart to everything else. People are giving their heart to everything else. You may not look at it like that, but you're giving your heart to everything else. And God is just sitting there waiting for you to make the move. Hey, I'm waiting for you to give me your heart. I've been waiting since the 80s. I've been waiting since the 90s for you to give me your heart. But you want to take matters into your own hand. You want to believe and convince yourself that you can live this life without me. We cannot live this life without God. But let me tell you something. People are doing a really good job trying. People are doing a really good job of trying to live in this life without God. Trying to act like they don't have problems. Trying to act like they don't have burdens. Trying to act like they don't have pain. Trying to act like they don't have wounds in their heart. People are doing a really good job. And God is just saying, whenever you are ready, because I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for you. I'm at the altar right now, waiting to make this covenant work, to make my vows to you. I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for you. When are you going to stop running? When are you going to stop running and going into the world trying to find rest, trying to find how. When are you going to stop and come to me? When are you going to stop and yield? When are you going to give me your all? When? When are you going to realize that you can't do it on your own? When? Are you going to wait until it's too late and you die in your sin, you die in your condition? I know a lot of people that took things to the grave. They died as a bitter old person. They took things to the grave. No, they didn't want to forgive that person. They didn't want to let that go. Although the person asked for forgiveness, although the person, got over it, the individual did not want to let it go, and they took it to their grave, and they were perfectly okay with taking it to their grave. They made a conscious decision to say, you know what? I'm never going to forgive that person. And I'm okay with that. Okay. And that person, those individuals who I knew, they died as a bitter person. They died. You don't want to be that individual who you die carrying your burdens. You die in bondage. You die carrying things that you could have let go a long time ago. You could have been let that go. God could have been healed you, but you've convinced yourself that you can get through this life without God. And so today is the day of salvation. The Word of God says, the day that you hear the Lord's voice, harden not your heart. The more you continue to linger and tell yourself, I'll do it next time. I'll give my heart to the Lord the next time, or next year, or, New Year's is coming up. I'll make that my new resolution. The more you continue to wait and linger, the more you are hardening your heart against the truth and against the freedom that God wants to make available to you, because He's the only one that can give it to you. So the longer you continue to wait, the harder it's going to get. And so the next time you hear the word of God, it's going to be harder for you to adjust. It's going to be harder for you to yield. It's going to sound good, but it's not going to really prick your heart the way it needs to. The way it's pricking your heart now, if you don't adjust, if you don't yield, it's going to be harder in the days to come. I'm telling you, it's going to be harder. Not that God can't do it. But if He's calling you now, if you feel the conviction now, if He's moving on your heart now, then you got to make an adjustment. You got to yield. You have to yield. You got to put forth the effort and overcome your flesh, your desires, your mind, your soul. Your soul is going to tell you, girl, you are okay the way that you are. You've been fine for the last 5 years. Or boy, sir, ma'am, man, whoever you are okay the way that you are. You got this. You got this. You're a big boy. You're a big girl. You don't cry. You don't need God. You don't need Jesus. Your soul is going to tell you that, and the enemy is going to creep right in and lie to you and tell you, that's right. That's right. You've been doing good this whole time. That's right. Everybody cries at night. Everybody sheds some tears. Your soul and the devil's going to lie to you and keep you away from your freedom. And you got to learn how to fight through that. You have to learn how to fight through your emotions. You have to learn how to fight through the traumatic experience. You have to learn how to fight through the pain. Yeah, it might sting a little bit. It might hurt. But do you want to be free? Because it's available for the real. Those who want to be real and not fake anymore. You say, I no longer want to be a fake person. I no longer want to pretend. I'm tired of pretending. Okay, well, when you get to that place, then Jesus can make the freedom available to you and He can give it to you. And when you get it, you feel different. You feel lighter. You feel at peace. You feel at ease. You feel joy on the inside, unspeakable joy. And then you begin to ask yourself, what took me so long? This whole time, this is what was waiting for me. This peace that the world cannot comprehend. This joy that the world cannot comprehend. This is what I was missing out on. And you're going to wish you would have done it sooner. Man, I wish I would have committed sooner. I wish I would have given my burdens over sooner, because now I'm experiencing this level of peace, this level of joy. You don't even know what you're missing out on. You don't even know. Your mind can't even fathom what's on the other side of the gate or the door. Your mind doesn't even know, because you're holding back. You're keeping your own self back. You're holding your own self back. But you have to learn, and you have to get to a place where you fight through those emotions and you fight through the pain so that you can get what you need, so that you can be free. Jesus desired that you be free. That's why He came. That's why He's making Himself available, so that you can be free. And so may He give you the desire of His heart, not your heart, but His heart. You need His desires. May He give you ears to hear in Jesus' name.